Hi everyone, sorry the stream's late tonight, but sleep schedule's all screwed up. Didn't wake up until late. So yeah, as you can see, I got Stormwind. We actually imported Stormwind, with Project Stormwind. So, really excited about that. Several good points actually about this. Let's take a quick look. These are all ones I exported last night after the stream. So there's one camera angle. Here's the next. And I'm doing these in what's called VPR. Very nice, near instant rendering. But you can just, we're going through, got 2 castles in here. Let me switch this to that. Let's see. Oh, there we are. Look at that guy. We'll hide him. Unseen by everything. Do not cast shadows and object dissolve. There we go. So, yeah. A little better. But yeah, I've managed to find most of the districts. And this was just, me doing random stuff. Now this one is actually one I've specifically left off. It was, I believe, 120. But here is everything I imported until I got to that moment. Oh. I mean, I hadn't even seen this district over here. Pardon me? No, it was 112 or something like that. Oh, that's not even in here. Oh, wrong directory. Yeah, I went looking for other stuff while I was doing some work. So, Kalimdor, building. Oh, no, not Kalimdor. Azeroth, buildings. Stormwind. And you can see here, I have a lot of Lightwave objects available. Well, that's because... Oh, yeah, it was 102. And that's not in here. Okay, so... And because I did that. Ugh. I should have loaded something. But I wanted to make sure that... Alright, so Azeroth, buildings, Stormwind. But 102... And this won't take too long to import. This one's about 60 seconds. I think it was 62 when I timed it yesterday. This one actually has the WMO water that we desperately need to test. So yeah, there's that. Couple of things. I actually did split off the liquids off into their own little, file. This will make it much easier to find and move stuff around. And you can see here we have a single class that can read from MCLQs, MLICs, and MH2s, and while those functions don't exist, they are available to us when we actually get there. Alright, this should be... Okay, no it's not. And if we come back over here, let's find one of those. Oh wait, it's at the end of that, isn't it? Yeah. So here we can see, size liquid... Yeah, header, size liquid. So we can see if there is a liquid chunk in there, and this time what we do is parent header has water. It's a boolean, that's a boolean I have. But I can pull in the liquid data, read from MQL, and it will tell us whether or not we have water. At the same time, read from MQL, if we come over here, will actually read the data from the file and then fill in the liquid data. I think Anyways, once it has liquid data, once that's been loaded in here, liquid data actually is being filled, or created rather. You notice it's nowhere up here. But if we go over here to the H file, the header file, here we are. Liquid data is class liquid. So, I'm in the way. I'm sorry. So, we'll have, this liquid is now available, and we can read the data. And all the data it needs is the point and polygon data that we need. That's all that Lightwave requires us to hand out. So, by coming in here and saying, okay, liquid data. Okay, that's in the header. Read from MQL. Okay. And basically it points to the file at its current location, and then a get point offset. This is actually a new rewritten function, I should say. We come down here, you can see, oh, offset equals that. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. But here it is. This is actually a function. That's not right anymore. Getting offset for point data. That's more accurate. Yeah, we did that, let's watch, or let's get this, chunk data times header index and bases and offsets and all that. And, well, when we did that, we did it for each point. Because we were going through each point and going, okay, well, let's move this one, and then let's move this one. But here's the thing. The data is the same. This data will never, ever change, no matter what point you're on. So, I decided, you know what? Just get point offset. It returns a vector 3 float. So, a 3 vector float. And I was like, okay, here, we got the offset. Now what? Well, now we come up here. It's somewhere up here. Now, we take that data that it gives us, and we send that to the read file. And if we come back over here to the read file, you can see that input is the file, so that's where we read the data from, and then the vector 3 offset. That actually gives us, well, we set that to our origin, because the liquid has a origin. So you can say, so each liquid chunk, well, we will say, okay, this is where we start. This is our 0 point. And then we can offset the points as needed with that. Now you'll notice that origin X, origin Y, isn't applied to vector Y. That's because if it did, it would, bounce with every chunk. So when I want a flat, smooth plane with a little bit of variance in height, what I would actually get is each chunk would have, water here, water here, water here, but only at one point. The most top left point would be set to the height of the land. It would basically make a water plane useless. So we just ignore that. I know, I tried it. But because this data is the same for both the water offset and the point data, we actually come down here to where we're actually building our map data, created an offset, and made it equal to the point data. So we get the data once, and now we can go through here and add the offsets. And that's all we needed. But rather than running through two different functions that did the same thing, I created one function that gave me the data I needed to fix the other data. And I just applied it live, I guess is the best way to describe it. Let's see. Other thing I did was I really worked on vertex colors, which is a class in our common section. This will let us basically create and write out colors in a variety of different formats. I've already used it over here. Let's see. Here, we are actually reading the vertex data. So we read the R's and then we set R's. Well, in this instance, it's using integers because I actually put it that you could put a raw integer in here, signed or unsigned. And by typing in 255, you would get effectively a float of 0. Everything's being saved as doubles because sometimes Lightwave wants floats and sometimes it wants doubles. So saving it as a double and doing conversion in here, that seems to be the best option. By creating a function set colors, I can just set it to whatever I want with a single call. So here it's just R times 2, R times G times 2, B times 2, and then alpha. I don't quite remember why I'm doing 2, but I'm pretty certain it's significant. Maybe it's to pump up the numbers, I forget. I apologize for my sniffling. I don't know why, but when I wake up, I have a runny nose. Could also be I'm starting to get sick. But, that's one instance where we did that. I actually had to come in here, I was loading up a Northrend ADT file, and this was actually causing a problem. It was saying, hey, size divided by number of headers, well, there's only one layer, and it's, -1. So that would mean size divided by 0. That crashes programs. So I had to do size max number of layers. So if the number of layers ever goes below 1, it will say, no, I always choose the larger of the two numbers. In this case, 1. So size will always be divisible by 1, if nothing else. But that's something else to look at. Alright, so coming back down here. Yep, that's where we did that. And here's actually, one where I went, okay, we have this float array. This is where we grab the vertex color data and then dump it in. This is actually where, 2 float 4, this script, this little bit. I actually had to figure out how to get it to work because it had to come out as a certain size and then be put into a local VMAP val, which requires a float. So I put that in and it worked. I was surprised. What's down here? Oh yeah, here I actually used the vertex color to do the colors. Because we had this material was water set, water equals size of double and whatnot. And this is actually where the double thought came in, because here I'm actually able to just create the color in one line. And then we come down here and water to double 3 because this wants 3 doubles. And we're just able to do that and boom, color for the water. Works really well. Now, I don't know how many of you noticed it, but there was a new chunk of code here. This is new. What does it do? Well, this is actually raw hex code. I actually had to use a hex editor to create this. But what it is NORM06. What that just said was define a normal map, a size of 6 bytes. And then this equals normal map, no space. And then it's 0 at the end. This is exactly what you see here. Norm 06, normal map 0. Now, the reason that we're doing that, apparently, Lightwave does not have a function that lets you set normal maps. In an ideal world, you'd want to, surface, set float, or set, you have set floats and set integers. You really need set normal map or set string. It has neither of those. So what we have to do is actually create the surface data in raw binary data code. In this instance, I chose hex code because I don't really know how to do it otherwise. But by setting that, we can then go down here to local surface, local data, landscape, null, 41 surface chunk. What does that mean? Well, did I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, this needs to be 16. I was making it too big. This is basically saying create a surface, and if you look at it, this is actually the same kind of stuff we do when we do, like right here, local polygon, local data, poly typeface, and then a whole bunch of options. This is the same method for surfaces. Now earlier we were doing this, surface functions create local file name, landscape. Well, we don't need that anymore, because we're creating it using raw hex code in order to set the normal map. It's a fucked up way of doing it, honestly, but if we really need to do like really complex stuff, we could actually come into Lightwave here, grab a single object, or even make a single object, like let's say this guy looks good. Let's say we grab this hallway. It's a small thing, but we could get all the texture data that we need in here. We could do all the normals and all that, and then we go into the what's the word I'm looking for? There's a word I have. It's in my brain. Anyways, we go into the object file. There we go. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Let's go into the object files. Azeroth buildings. That is Stormwind 37. Alright, so Stormwind 37. Now there's the original WMO. What we want is the Lightwave object. Edit with Hex Workshop, which is what I use. It's my preferred hex program. Come on. Okay. And you can see all this gobbledygook. This is basically how you create a Lightwave file. This is, identical if you're creating, if you're trying to read a World of Warcraft file. You also notice that it has, the same format layout. You have, 4 bytes of data, usually, something like layer, and then you have, some variation of, 3 or 4 bytes, or rather 2 or 4 bytes, saying, okay, this is how many points you need to read. Now in this instance, we need to read 22. And then if we go 22 points, that is the entirety of the layer data. Now granted, I don't know what it means right now, but there's all that. So, ignoring that, let's come way down here. This is all of the surface data for all the textures. Let's find a good one. Surf. Alright, I'm not seeing one. Oh, goodness. Alright. Surf. Here we are. That is the creation of a new surface. So, next 4 bytes is how much data it is. And we can see over here on the side, that is 590 bytes. So, starting after that, 590 bytes is right there. So that is an entire surface. And you can see, first thing it does is it declares the name, then it declares a color, and it gives me 3 floats. Now, a lot of these will actually have, like if we look at color, 2 bytes, that's all it needs. 14, so 1 float, 2 floats, 3 floats. And then they add 2 extra points at the end. But all of that combined equals 14 polys, or bytes. And then we have S-Man and block, and here, if I was just, copy this as is, it would, basically copy this surface into whatever I needed. But you notice, this is all the hex over here on the left side. I would have to basically copy all of that and put it into the same format you see right here. basically, this is hard coding data, so you want to do as little of this as possible. Actually, if we can do this dynamically, that would be even better. But I'm not sure quite how to do that. Well, I'm not sure how to do it, but I know it can be done. I would have to do some research and probably create a couple of functions to write this data. Actually, creating the function to write the data would not be a terrible idea. Because actually, if I could, come in here and go, create a string. Well, actually, no, I don't not even do that. Let's just do something like, lightwave surf. And then we do an addition here. It's just, we'll have lightwave surf. That's our, name or our function or something. And then we'll have surf data. And then that's it. That creates, most of the data. Then we do surf data dot append. And then we can do stuff like, say 5. And, 5 for 2 bytes. And then we come in here when we go, block for 4 bytes. Or no bytes. So it just, writes the data. And we, that would be one method of being able to do that. But that would take a lot of work, and I'm not entirely sure I want to do that. But at the end, we would just be able to say, okay, now create a surface with surface data. If we have to get too complex in terms of, building everything, that's something we might end up doing. But for right now, that is something I am just going to leave for not doing at all. We're using it to set the normal map for the ADT files. That's it. Which is nice, because it means, yeah, we actually have some nice, cameras in here. Like that. But being able to have this little chunk right here. Yeah, everything you see moving. That is the one we're going to be using for testing if, what's it? Water in WMOs actually ends up working. But it's with all the lighting and everything, this still looks pretty nice without water. And I do miss this version of the city sometimes. But then you see stuff like this house, which has no roof on our side. That's when you go, no. And there's, one of our main views. Now, I don't remember if those statues are models or if they're part of the WMO itself. They're probably part of the WMO themselves, but, it's going to take a while to find that out. Yep. Alright, I guess that's all the cameras. Alright, let's create a new camera here. And let's come over here to the Park District. I don't remember that being that big, but what do I know? As you can see, it's not a complete collection of everything yet. So let's just, come in here to the Park District. And we'll just kind of settle things right here. Have a nice view. So let's see how this looks with renders, when it's rendered. Apparently I'm in something. Rendered something. There we go. Alright, lighting doesn't quite give it justice, but at least we get a good view. So, I'm good with that. Alright. Save that. Alright, So that's kind of an overview of what we're done. Let me double check real quick that that's all that I did while we were away. And I'm still really tired, so maybe this stream is just to get you caught up and let you know where we're at. But yeah, I broke out the liquids. We can now I was actually in the WMOs and I was like, what? Wait, what? I don't get any of this liquid stuff. So a lot of that's going to be moved over here. We can probably start working on create from M liquid. But okay. All right, so correct the point data, the verticals, move the water functions. But yeah, doing that hex code with the normal maps, that was, well, frankly, brilliant. I don't quite remember how I came across it, but I'm happy I did. Something to show you guys, just so you can be aware. Yeah, we'll take a quick look at Azeroth 3030, just so you know that the new liquid actually does do its job. And there it is. Liquid chunk still works, but you'll notice the normal map is actually applied. So there it is, normal map. That's what that little hex code did. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I also did something else. I took the water and made it double-sided. So if you're below the water line, you'll see water above you. Now I suppose I could do stuff like make the water like 25% transparent. I have absolutely no idea how to add a shader, but I like fast for now. Transparency, let's set that to yeah. And actually we could probably set this to 50. A little more accurate. Bring that down to 5, take that up to 50, and yeah, we could leave that at about 40. Take the reflections down to 50% or so. Let's just use the regular backdrop colors, and then I'll turn on radiosity with the default settings. Except I will use transparency and use ambient occlusion. If I turn off transparency, that's good enough. Help, I'm stuck underwater. So yeah, let's see, that's what happened with the ADTs. I showed you what happened with the vertex color. I had to move some of the defines. They were originally in the ADT header. You can see here, size, chunk, all those. I moved them over to here because we actually needed them over in the liquids section. So, there's that. commented that out, and I was trying to fix some problems with, hey, this doesn't quite match up. So, alright, so there's all that. And I think this is going to end our short stream tonight. I am really tired still, so all sorts of fun there. Actually, let's no. I thought about doing something and I was like, yeah, no. I'll load up Azeroth so you can see it on the way out. Oh, no wonder it's not finding it. It's in the wrong directory. Stormwind. Stormwind! And I just tried to load the wrong file. Oh well. Yeah, right there. Alright. I know, I'm sorry, Vikingness. I'm just really tired. I'm literally working on only a few hours of sleep. I stayed up until like, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon today. Yeah, I woke up at like about 8 or 9 yesterday evening and stayed up until about 4 today. I did go see Deadpool though, and I will say this: I haven't really read too many of the comics, but I know enough about him to know if what is and is not canon. This is the start of a great franchise, and quite frankly, I can't wait for the next movie. And definitely stay until after all the credits, because Deadpool actually comes out and tells you some fun stuff. It's a really great, post-credit sequence. But I think most of the people who were watching it with me didn't get the reference. It was actually a reference to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So yeah, the scene at the very end of the credits is a reference to Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So keep that in mind. And this movie was perfect, I gotta say. Without telling anything without spoiling anything, this movie is perfect. Ryan Reynolds did Deadpool perfectly, and I am very much looking forward to seeing more. There's a reason why this film was waiting 10 years to do it. And the opening credit sequence. Oh dear God, that was perfect. Usually they do a pullback and a film by such and such. A film by Don Bluth, starring Ryan Reynolds, starring his and all these people. No, not this one. And I won't say anything more than that, because it would ruin the surprise. Alright. So, yeah, I'm going to probably work on this a little bit here and there, but I'm not going to do any more on the stream tonight. I really want to, I'm just too tired. Oh, I just lay back and watch TV for about 5 hours. So, thanks for coming by, Vikingness. I actually saw like 2 or 3 people. I think that was, what did we get up to? We got up to 4 people on Twitch watching us today. Granted, we've only been going for about a little over half an hour. So, yeah, I apologize for this being super short. Usually I go for at least 2 hours, but I'm just not going to be able to tonight. And I'll try to figure out something to do tomorrow. Whether we do more Project Stormwind, whether we go over to the Zelda program for a bit, or whether we just say screw it and actually play a video game. Maybe we'll do more of that virus game. That was a lot of fun. Let's see. Yeah, so we'll do that. Just a reminder, there's not going to be a stream on Sunday. I am taking Valentine's Day off. So, keep that in mind. And spend some time with your loved ones. And if you don't have any, I apologize. But you can go find some, or you can just find someone else to watch. I'm taking that day off, because, damn it, I'm tired. Alright, as always, you can donate here, you can watch me on the links up here, you can also donate up here. Wait, no. You can watch me on the links up here, you can also donate up here, you can follow me on Twitter here. I'll usually let you know when the stream's going to go live, or when I'm going to let it, slide for the day. Today, it was just, I was actually surprised I was able to be up and functioning enough just to do this, get you up to date kind of thing. My hope is that I can get the water for the WMOs done sometime tonight. Hopefully I can get that done. People on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment either on YouTube or on Twitter if you have an idea for a game you want me to play. If you want to force me to play a game, donate $100 onto Patreon. And if you're feeling very vindictive, pay me $250 either donations or on Patreon, and you will basically be forcing me to completely shave my beard. No beard, no mustache, no anything. You'll get to see my baby face. Now, I keep saying that I don't want to do that. That's why I set it to $250, because somebody has to really, really want me to do that for me to sacrifice it. But yeah, you want to force me to play a game? $100. You can see that on Patreon. Alright, that's about it. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully, when next we meet, I will have waters from WMOs going. Alright, I think that's it for tonight. Thanks, bye.